Hey, how you going? I want to run a training exercise with you today, and it's something that I'm running this weekend with a workshop that I've been invited to present at. It's a mastermind for another coach who's based in the States, and he's asked me to go on and help his community with regards to personal branding. And what I thought I'd do, because obviously I'm presenting to them this weekend, and I thought I can't present to them and not present to you first, hence why I'm here running this with you now. And it's a really great exercise that I can take you through to really start thinking not only about your personal brand, but also about yourself in your life and in your business, and whether you are actually aligned and being true to who you are. So let me just share my screen with you and we will crack on into this training. So here we go. Now I just need to do one thing else. So hold on 1 second. I need to make this a different screen size. Oh my goodness. Where are we? Here. Let me try and do it here. Move this into a bigger size and then we will get going. Oh my God, that's even worse. It's even worse. What's happening? What's happening? Present. Standard presents. So you just go back up. Here we go. So how to start building a high-performing personal brand and answering these 5 key questions and eliminating the risk of taking yourself down the wrong path, which is what so many people do. And I see them making this mistake all of the time. So this is what we're going to stop you from doing today. So just want to ask you a few quick questions before we start, because I'd imagine that you've had great successes in your career, in your business, and you're at this crossroads right now where you want to achieve more, where you want more fulfillment, more happiness, more freedom, to feel more in control, to have more direction, more confidence, and to feel inspired and be having a lot more fun. Because we all want that, right? So this today and what I'm taking you through is going to help you to achieve that. Because all of these things are possible when you live in full alignment, both personally and professionally. So stay with me throughout this training today, because by the end of it, you're going to learn how you can actually really create a life and a business that you love without breaking any bones and just being true to who you are. So just starting off with this around success. Now, success, whatever your success is, or what you believe or deem what success is, if we just take success in terms of having a successful and thriving life and business, yeah, and we'll just put it all into that bucket, whatever that means to you. Well, 80% of you being able to create this is around your psychology and mindset. Now, most people, when you think about success and whatever that means to them, they believe that it comes down to skills and knowledge, but it actually isn't. That only makes up 20% of you being able to achieve the things that you want to in life. And I hear this a lot with people when they say, oh, I need to do more training, or I need to have this certificate first, or I need to get that, or I need to do this. A lot of the time you don't. A lot of the time what you have already, you can create the success that you want for yourself out of what you already have, especially if you've already been in business for a really long time and you've had a success. When I say successful career, you've climbed the ladder and you've achieved great things in your career. You can build those things from the stuff that you already have, but it's down to your psychology and your mindset of being able to make that happen, rather than you actually acquiring more skills, more certificates, more qualifications. Now, there's 3 key elements for you to be able to successfully achieve your results. Now, the first one is actually setting a goal for yourself. What is it that you ultimately want to achieve with your life or in your business? What is that? And you can have many goals, but what's the main one? What is it that if in 20 years' time we're having a conversation, you're talking to me, telling me about all these things that you're proud about of what you've achieved? What are they? The second piece is around the systems. So most people, they have an idea of the goal of what it is that they want to achieve, and then they start working on the systems to actually get them to achieving this goal. Now, a lot of the time, this is where it stops, because a lot of the time people start their businesses or they move through their careers and they're only focusing on these two key elements around the goal and the systems. They don't actually do the work on themselves, which is their identity. And it's this piece that is fundamental to setting you up for success. It is this piece, this identity piece, which is the 80% psychology and mindset. And that is, identity is your personal brand. Your identity, you, is your personal brand. Okay, you can spend a lot of time building websites, building logos, caring about the way you dress or how you come across or how you want to be perceived. And yeah, that's fantastic. But it's fruitless if you don't know who you are at your core first. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on here. Because when you build a personal brand from your core identity, you cannot help but profit in every aspect of life and business, because everything's in flow, everything's aligned, everything's coming from self. And this is the only way that I know that you can do this successfully for yourself, to be able to reach those goals that you want. So I'm absolutely passionate about helping professionals to challenge their status quo, to challenge their thinking, to challenge their mindsets, to break through these stories, these beliefs that have held them back, so that they can really start living life on their terms, where they have all of the freedom that they desire, where they wake up every day feeling energized and excited and they're having fun. Because a lot of the time, people aren't having this, people are not achieving this, and this is what I'm all about. So why would you even bother listening to me? Well, I've got 20 years experience in the corporate world. I've worked and managed on some of the world's leading global brands, Lavazza coffee, fantastic rice crackers, Winfield tobacco. I did that for 7 years. Boo. But it was a great business to work for. And within that time, I built up 15 years executive coaching experience. So within that, I went on many leadership coaching courses, and it was fundamental to the businesses that I was working in. And I had teams of many people, and part of the core thing that we did as business leaders was to develop a coaching culture within the business. And that is really where I found that my passion was, and where it laid was actually working with people. So I've actually combined both of those things to create the business that I have today, to help people to develop their own personal brands. I've partnered with Success Resources, who is the world's leading education company for entrepreneurs, and they work with the likes of Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, what have you. And if you apply the learnings that I show you here today, you're likely to experience some of the incredible results in your life and business too. So stick with it. Now, this is the framework that I take people through, and it's a 4-step framework, and I call it SAFE. So it starts with self. Everything I do starts with self. There's no other way. You cannot build anything in your life and your business unless it comes from you first. And as I say, this is a thing that most people forget about because they deem it not important enough, and it is, honestly, it is the most important. So we go from self, and then we move into authenticity. So this is about you actively being yourself. So it's one thing knowing who you are, the next thing is being who you are. The third step is around future strategy. So this is around you setting yourself up in the future whilst being aligned and developing what that is for you, both with your personal brand and in your business. And then the fourth stage is around execution, and actually executing that strategy and taking the relevant action steps and being purposeful within that. And this is the proven pathway to discover, monetize, and operate from your genius. This is how you actually monetize your personal brand and turn it into a very high performing one. Okay, so when you know your why, you can endure anyhow. Now, this is a quote by Viktor Frankl, and he was a Holocaust survivor, and he was a psychiatrist and a philosopher. And he spent time in the concentration camps, which you can only, even with what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment, and you just know that stuff like this is going to be happening, you can't imagine what he went through and what he experienced. And part of the part of his thinking when he was in there was, why is it that some people survive in here and other people don't? Why is it that some people die within only a few days and some people can, last months and potentially a few years, what have you? How does that happen? And he narrowed it down to this, and this was around having belief and meaning in your life, having purpose in your life, and having something beyond you. And this really is so fundamental to everything in our lives. And this really is the key to understanding yourself at your core, which is, what is it that's really driving you? And this is something that I really focus on with people, to really help them to create this meaning and purpose in their life and to build their personal brand from that. So when you're climbing the corporate ladder, when you've spent years and years climbing your way up the ladder, and you get to a certain stage, you can question who the hell you are today, because you're very different in your 40s, 50s to who you are when you first started out in your career. And you can actually lose sight of who that person really is, and you lose sight of your why. You lose sight of what's really driving you and what makes you tick and what gets you excited. And so the first step to building a high-performing personal brand in your own business, taking yourself out of corporate, even if you are still in corporate, but taking yourself and really understanding who you are at your core and reconnecting with that person. So the first part of this is understanding your why. And this is who you are at your very core. What's that inner success driver for you? And this is very ego driven. It's your ego inner success driver. Then it's your purpose. So your purpose, I see in life, is what your obligation is to others. So this is something beyond you. This is what you were put on the planet to do, and really understanding what that is and defining it. Then it's around your passions. What is it that you get really, really excited about and that you absolutely love to do and you're really passionate about? Or maybe there's a cause that you're passionate about, or a charity that you're passionate about. Like, what are these things? Then it's around your values. So I've coached over 500 people in the last few years, and I swear to God, no one really knows what their values are. And you have to go deep on values. It's not a quick, oh yeah, trust, honesty, and integrity. They're my core values. If you're just plucking them out of your head, I can tell you that they might not be what you think they are. And more often than not, people that actually go through the values exercise that I take them through come out of it being like, oh my God, it's no wonder that things haven't been gelling with me, or I've been in this situation with certain individuals, or my old boss, like, really just aggravated me. God, agitated me. And you understand these things when you actually really get to the core of your values. Then unearthing what your skills are. What are the things that have led you to where you are today? What are the things that you're absolutely amazing at, better than anyone else that you know? What are they? What are those things that you can pull out? The things that come easy to you, that you understand, that adds this value to other people. And your experience. Your experiences not only within your career, but within your life too. What are these things that make you you and make you unique? Because this is what your personal brand is all about. And once you unearth all of these things, it becomes really easy to define what your brand is. You can see that your brand is made up of many different elements, and it's not about the final execution, which is your marketing and all of the fancy stuff. Your personal brand, comes from you with nothing else at the moment. It's just you. So given that there's all these things that I help take people through to really define and create and grow their personal brand, what is it that you could do today to really help start defining it for you? So there's 5 core questions that you can ask yourself. And so I'm going to run you through this exercise now. I ran it with people in Brand Boost yesterday, and they had some real aha moments at the end of it. So I'd love to run you through it now. So I'm just going to take you through the first question. So the first question is, what do you love to talk about? And I want you to answer these questions from your heart rather than your head. So what do you love to talk about? And I want you to just list the 3 things that come from within first. So these are the things that if you were to be locked away in a room with someone for an hour, what is it that you would be talking about? And this doesn't necessarily need to be business related. This can be anything. So what is it you love to talk about? The second question is, what do you love to research? So if I was to go onto your Google browsing history, what is it that you're researching on there? What is it that you can just lose hours just looking at stuff? And again, what's your heart telling you rather than your head? The moment that your head kicks in, your ego kicks in. So just go from what comes up. Then the third question is, what abilities do you have that you love to improve? So maybe you're good at running and you love to improve that. You want to run more marathons or something. Or maybe you love personal development. So you love to improve on that. What abilities, what are the things that you have in your bag of tricks that you love to improve on? Then the fourth question is, what do you love to contemplate? So when you think about your last day of holiday, you're sat out looking out at the sunset and you're thinking about life. What is it that you're thinking about? What's going through your mind? What are the things that you love to contemplate? And then the fifth question is, what do you know a lot about? What do you know a lot about? Maybe you know a lot about birds or buildings or retail or brands. What is it? What do you know a lot about? I want you to list those 3 things. Now, once you've answered each of those questions, I want you to look at each of the 5 questions, and I want you to look at your answers of each. And with each question, I want you to pull out the answer that inspires you the most. Now, again, this is vital that you do this from your heart rather than your head. So if one of the things, for example, you've put on your list, your answers involves family or something, your conscience will tell you that you should choose family rather than something else. So I want you to do this guilt-free. There is nothing wrong with what you're writing here or answering, but just choose the answer to each of the questions that inspires you the most. Just close your eyes. If you find this difficult, close your eyes and look at your answers of the 3 things that you wrote, and then close your eyes and think about each one and just pick out which one inspires you the most. And then once you've done that, I want you to write down from your list of your 5 answers, your top 5 answers. What feeling does each of these give you, and why? What's the feeling that each of them gives you, and why? So yesterday in Brand Boost, the final answers for this was someone wrote energized, learning, doing the right thing, integrity was 3, security and control was 4, and inspiration was 5, or being an inspiration was 5. So these answers to these questions, and why these questions are so relevant, is because they really do help you to understand what it is that makes you tick, what your drivers are, what your values are, what your purpose is. So of the things that I showed you earlier that I take people through, these questions here is really a quick and dirty exercise to get you going, to help you to really scope out what your personal brand is. What does your business stand for? What do you stand for in life? What makes you you? And when you look at these answers and you're looking at them, can you imagine creating a business or a life which was just based around these things? Like, what would you do? Like, what would your business look like? If you are in business already, what tweaks can you make to ensure that these things for you come through? That you actually work on these things, that they become part of you in your business and part of your life. Because this is what will light you up. This is what will really get you excited and energized about what you're doing every day. This will be what gets you out of bed in the morning. So, based on what you've discovered today, do you believe that you're being true to your brand? Can you honestly, hand on heart, saying that you are being true to you and your brand and what you stand for? If you're not, there's work that needs to happen, because as I've said, when you do this and when you start living aligned to you and who you are, and your brand is a reflection of that, that is when you're honestly going to be living your best life, and you're going to be achieving amazing things. And this is how you build an authority for yourself, because this is you at your core, in your true nature, warts and all. Like, this is you at your very, very best. So when you can operate from this space, this is when you'll start building authority for yourself, and by being true to yourself and staying in your lane, because people will get to know you for you. And a lot of the time, when you are taking a leap to start a business, or you've already done that and you haven't done this work already, you build things based on your past, based on your history, and that includes some of the stuff that you don't even want in your life anymore. You're just doing it because it's what you know. And so we need to be able to drop these things and to take this mask off, so that you can actually start operating from your genius zone. This is what I mean by staying in your lane, operating from this place of genius. And this is where you can really start to build an authority for yourself. So this is a final piece, which is success on the outside means nothing without success on the inside. And this is by Robin Sharma. And he wrote the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, which is quite possibly the best personal development book that I've ever read. It's fantastic. And if you're not really into too textbooky personal development books, then this is a great one, because it's more fictional. But what he's saying here is what I stand for in my business, which is you can do all of this stuff, all of the shiny stuff, but it means nothing unless it's coming from you first. So most people will build their business, and they'll go out there and they'll look at the website, they'll look at the logo, and they'll be looking at all of their marketing, and they'll be on social media doing all of this stuff, yet it's not really coming from them. It's not coming from within. It's based on what they created, what they think it should be, again, based on their history and their past, rather than who they are today, who they are now, and by being true to them. So that's it. That was the training for today. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. Let me just come out. I hope that you've enjoyed this and it's been useful for you. If you've got any questions at all, then please reach out in the group and I will happily answer them for you. And that is it. I will see you all over the next coming days, and adios.